Okay, HTML for absolute beginners. I will start from the very start to explain how we came into like inventing the HTML language and the web, just to go right from the start. So initially, if we go back a few years when there was no internet, we had our uh, our computers. So I will just create a diagram. So we had our computers and we were working locally, as we say, in our computer. So for example, whenever we want to create an edited document, we would create like a file uh, in our computer, edit the file, and then store it on the hard drive. That would be, let's say, a very simple text file. Okay, let me just create a file. So blah blah blah, some text. Okay, so this would be like the text file on our computer, right? Okay, so this was like a text file. I don't know, my PhD or whatever. So maybe my notes txt. So we had like files, text files, image files, whatever. I'm going to start with a very simple file type, which is a text file. Now, the problem is that we can save and edit and do anything we want with our text files on our computer, right? But what happens when we want to share a file with someone else and we want to move and open the file in a different computer? So back, like if we go back before the internet, the only way that we could do such a thing was to save the file or files in some kind of storage. So a disk. This is a very, very old floppy disk. So what we would do is we have to put this floppy disk or use a USB stick nowadays and save this file into the floppy disk. So we would just say copy and put that, let's say, here. So we would like copy file to USB stick or disk. And then, of course, we would take the file, the disk, and then we would like put it in another computer and then load the file through that other computer. Okay, that was like the way that we would share like documents and files and things we had on one computer with another computer. And we're still like sticking in the very, very simple text file here. But we could share, we could save like image files, audio files, video files, whatever. We can share any file. So at some point, we realized that we cannot really do this, because what if one computer was like in another part of the world, or we wanted like to really, really fast connect two or more computers and then share some resources like files quickly and easily without having to use a storage format, some storage device, and then drive to that other point and give the disk and put the disk into another computer. So then what we found out was that we could like connect two computers together. So this is where computer networks started evolving. A computer network is simply a connection between between two or more computers. So what we would do at that point, and this started in the beginning, started in universities, we started to connect computers together through computer networks. So this meant that we would use either a wired or wireless connection. I'm going to use a wireless router because it's what we use most of these days. And we would have like a connection between all these computers. So all these computers could connect with each other, let's say through the router. So every computer would connect to this router, right? And let me put this here and make a small, simple computer network. and a connector here. So in this way, whenever we wanted to share some files between these computers, and these computers could live could be in the same space, in the same university floor, in the same university, let's say, class, maybe in a different floor, or maybe in a different university. Okay, we could use these networking devices to connect various multiple computers with each other. So then things became simpler. Whenever we wanted to share a file with other computers, we would just um, uh, send the file to the, let's say, to the router, and then through the router, this file could be sent to all the other computers easily and quickly. So this is how computer networks evolved. First, we had these computer networks, these computers that were on a particular space, like a university or maybe a lab or some institution. But then gradually we realized that we could have, let's say, this is a university. So the University, I don't know, of California. And this is a computer network in, let's say, California. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, this means that these computers were found on the same space, on the same physical, let's say, location. But then we could have another university somewhere else. I don't know, in University of Oslo, let's say. And then we could have computers connected there together through some device. And let me quickly connect this. Together. So in the beginning, we had computer networks. So there was a computer network found on the University of Oslo, another a computer network found on the University of California. And this meant that a couple of computers were connected together on the University of California. They could share files with each other. And the same thing could happen on the University of Oslo and maybe somewhere else on the planet. So I don't know, university or maybe institute, let's say CERN, because this was one of the first uh, uh, like organizations that were connected to the internet. And there was, of course, let me just quickly copy this network so that we have a nice presentation. So let's just put it in front. So we had small computer networks, local, let's say, computer networks all around the globe. Now we had one problem solved, we could share files across different computers on one physical location, on one university, on one organization, on one institution, but we couldn't share files across different locations, across different universities or organizations. So this is how the internet was invented and created. So we decided to connect all these computer networks together with some, of course, network devices. And then we could connect networks, computer networks together. So on one level, we had computers connected together and we had a computer network. And then we could connect these networks with each other. And this is where, let me have a nice connection here and then a connection here. So this was a connection between computer networks, not directly between computers, but between the network, the computer network of the University of Oslo, of CERN, of University of California. And this is how the internet was born, the network of networks. So this is what the internet is all about. We're connecting computer networks. That's why it's called the internetwork. So this was like the internet work. Okay, so this was like the invention that changed everything. And then we could share, of course, a file could be shared from one computer with another computer um, somewhere on the internet. We could share it with any organization, and then, of course, these files could land on any of these computers. And this is how we can share these days. We can share like files and images and whatever we want. We can even chat with other people because there's this connection, the internet that connects computers and computer networks together. So this is like the basis, because based on this first internet network, we had like the HTML language evolved and being created for the needs of this of the internet. We had like this way of connecting computers and networks together, and we could share like files across different networks. Uh, and then what we do, what we did like is that we started like compiling like these big libraries of files and folders and nodes. So in the beginning, all these universities and institutions wanted to share like multiple documents together. So what they did is they created this online, let's say, digital libraries. So the University of California, let's say, had like in some computer, let's say, a lot of files that were related to some concept. Um, Scientific documents, and papers and stuff like that. So anyone on the world could like access these documents and read them and print them and do whatever they wanted. So at this point, we realized that we could like access one file. So I could open one file, one text file on my computer. So I'm going to open like a simple text editor. And I could like connect to the University of California, download a scientific paper, let's say called X, and then there was some content, right? And as you know, in scientific papers, there are a lot of references. So a scientific paper might reference, I don't know, this is what we talked about in this paper. So we had like referencing another scientific paper. So we would have a section called references, I don't know, sci paper Y. And then we would talk further about some other stuff. And also, this was mentioned in paper, let's say, that so we had another reference to another, let's say, scientific paper. So sci paper Z. Now, if I had just downloaded this scientific paper X, let's say, from my computer, and I wanted to also go and take a look at these references, it seemed to me interesting to read what this paper, this sci paper Y and this paper Z paper Z was talking about. I would have to once again go into the internet, connect to the computers of the University of California, and download file X, Y, Z, and of course all the other references. And I don't know, R. Open these scientific papers on my computer, on another, say, window, and really really quickly I would like realize that I have to go through a lot of, let's say, trouble and a time consuming process to kind of like grab the links from the scientific papers, connect to this other computer, download the file, open it up on another like text editor, read the paper, then go back to this paper, And then this would happen, a lot, right? We had to open like different windows and open up and take a look at these other scientific papers or documents that were referenced. And of course, this could be like anything, like scientific paper, like a novel, and we wanted to open like download another novel that was mentioned in that novel, or read something that was referenced or mentioned in that novel. It was all about text that was referencing another text, right? And for all these text files that we wanted to access, we had to connect with some tool, connect to some computer network, find the file, download it. Now, something that I haven't mentioned, and I think it's important, is that in order for these computers and these computer networks to connect and talk to each other, they had to use exactly the same, let's say, system that we use in whenever we want to call someone on the telephone. Each computer on the network should have its own like unique number, so that we could call one computer from another. So while we're on the internet, every single device on the internet has an IP address, an internet protocol address. So this is compared to the mobile number. So every computer on the internet has this number, which is in uh, this is like the format of the addresses on the internet, and every single computer has their own unique number. So much like the telephone network, we have unique number, so we can call this computer. We can have a unique number to call this computer, and these are internet addresses, right? Just like in the telephone network, we have um, unique addresses, and of course, these numbers would be quite different in another like location, much like the phone numbers. We could have, I don't know, 200 here, um, some computers here, and then another, of course, unique number here, and another unique number here. Um, and then we had another unique. And the same goes, of course, for CERN or for every device on the internet. So every single device that must be connected to the internet and be able like to connect and call, let's say, other devices or connect with other devices on this huge network must have its own unique IP address. It's not own unique internet address. Whenever we connect to the internet with our mobile phone, with our computer, with our tablet, with, I don't know, every device that connects to the internet, is automatically given a unique IP number, so that it can it can call other computers or devices on the network, get a response back, and also we need this unique number to be able to receive messages and to be able to receive responses or files from other computers or other devices. These other devices really want to know our unique internet address, so they can call us back and send us a file or send us a message. So right now, my computer and your computer, like in every computer out there on the internet, has this unique IP address. Most of the time, we don't see the address, and we don't need to care about this address, because it is automatically assigned to our device by our hosting provider. Okay, so we had this setup. So we had this kind of like setup, this pretty simple setup. And in the beginning, it was quite easy to kind of like find our way through this network of networks. We could have like a small, let's say, phone book with the phone number of the computers at the University of California, the University of Oslo, the CERN, or whatever other organization. But quite quickly, these huge networks started to be growing like really, really fast. And then we had like hundreds and thousands and hundreds of thousands of IP addresses. So it was very, very difficult for us to keep track of all these addresses, and this phone book could become really, really huge really quickly. And then we decided to use something that is similar to our contacts in our mobile phone. So, for example, whenever we have a lot of contacts in our mobile phones and we want to call someone, we probably won't remember their phone number, right? So what we do is we go into our contacts where we keep like a name and number list, and we have something like this in our phone. So we have, I don't know, Costas number 4. I don't know. Then we have and then like this, and Nikos, and blah blah blah. You get the idea. So instead of calling or remembering these numbers, we had to remember just their names, right? So we would go into our contact list, and then we would search Kostas, Makis, Nikos, put that name into the keypad, or just press the call button or send a message, and then the mobile itself would go into this list. It would check to see what's the corresponding number for Kostas, Makis, or Nikos, and then it would call or send that message to that number. So the same thing happens also on the internet. Let me add, I don't know, some number here. But instead, of course, of names, we have domain names, as they are called, or let's say web addresses. And instead of phone numbers, we have IP addresses. So the same thing happens on the internet. So we have, let's say, an address like this, and then, I don't know, an IP address like that. We have, I don't know, bing.com and that. And I don't know, free code camp, where you can learn more about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And we have this kind of like phone book in the used on the internet. There are some addresses, some web addresses that correspond to specific IP addresses. So whenever we want to connect and use the services of Google, we don't have to remember or find the IP address. We just type Google right here, and then our computer immediately connects to that computer using this IP. This phone book system, it's called the DNS in internet lingo. It's called the domain name system. It's just a global phone book. We also don't have to worry about this DNS system or how it works. Every time we put an address in the URL bar in here, whenever I write like google.com, my browser automatically finds this service, this DNS service, this phone book, gets the IP address that corresponds to the address that I just wrote on the address bar, and then my browser automatically connects to that computer and asks for some web page or some file. So this is how we can also like communicate with computers on the internet based on these IP addresses. And on top of these IP addresses, of these, let's say, network numbers, network internet, let's say, phone numbers, we can also use the much easier domain syntax. Like we can use domain names instead of remembering these IP addresses. So we had this system set up. So now it was time like to connect and send files to each other. So let's go back to this setup. So I had this like scientific papers, one X, Y, Z, and so forth. And for each of these scientific papers, or for each of these resources, I had to reach out to a computer on the internet that had these files on their hard drive. So I could like request these files from a specific computer or computers on the internet, right? So in order to do that, I had to use a very simple program, very simple application in the early days of the internet, where I could write the address, I could write the name of the file that I wanted. For example, I would say, I don't know, University of California dot whatever, and then give me the sci paper x txt. But I would have to use the internet address, and then after the internet address, I could specify the file that I wanted to find or request from that computer. So along with the address of the computer, this is like the domain version, or you could say, like, I could do something like this. Directly use the IP address, right? It's the same thing, but this is much easier, let's say, to remember. So I could connect to that. I would connect to that computer. I would get this file. That file would be downloaded on my computer. I would open this file and start reading it. And then here at this, the references at the bottom, because these were files found also on the internet, there would be some addresses here. So there would be an address that would point me to the computer that had this, let's say, paper, and then scientific paper Z, and then let's say Uni Oslo do sci paper R, let's say TXT. So in order like to open up these other files that were referenced in this scientific, let's say, paper or document, I would have to grab the address, go and use this very simple application that would call this computer, connect to this computer, download this text file on my computer, open it up, and then start reading it. So in the beginning, the process of connecting to computers, downloading a document, reading through the document, and then downloading all the other files or documents that were referenced in this one document was a quite like tedious and time-consuming process. We had to open up an application, download the file, open the file, then copy the address and go to another like address, download the file and open it up. So at that point, someone had the really smart idea of integrating a special click button inside these text files, so that whenever we wanted like to go open up, request a another resource that was referenced in this document, we wouldn't have to open up another application and then let's say click and put the address in there and download the document. They said, okay, instead of just going through this process manually, why don't we take, let's say, this part here in the text and make it clickable? So instead of copying the address, opening up the application, downloading, and going through this process, what if we could click this part of the text, and then just by clicking it, we would download, load, and see and view this document? So this was one of the first like ideas that brought us closer to the HTML language that we're about to see. So let me save this. File as a plain text file. So I will go into the. So I will go on my desktop and save this as sci paper x txt. And then I can open this file on my browser. So this is a plain text file. Let me open this file. So I will open this file, and you can see that if I open this file in my browser, I can see this text file in a different like format here with a black background and with white color. But in the beginning, this is how we would use like an application to read these files. Now, the idea that I just mentioned was to take this text, and instead of have just plain text on this page, there would be some parts of it that would be interactive. That is, that I could click on some part of this page and something would happen. So in here, in a plain text file, if we open a text file in like the text editor or even in the browser, because the browser can also read and display text files, nothing can happen, nothing will happen when I click on this document, right? The only thing I can do is I can copy, for example, this address. I can say copy and then go here, paste the address, and of course download the paper. Now this is a non-existent address, so I won't get any results. So the idea was to turn these simple text files into interactive files, and this is how HTML came to be. We decided to create a special form of a text file that would have some parts of it to be interactive. Some parts would be interactive. So we decided, of course, to create a new format. We wouldn't use the old text format, which is just some characters displayed or saved on this document. We would create another text file. That is, the format of this file would still be text. We would just write characters. But instead of saving this file as a txt or text file, we would save this as an HTML file, just to make the distinction between, let's say, a more advanced version of a text file. So let me save this as scipaper.html. I'm going to use HTML. So we went from this. Okay, we just changed the extension, but the HTML files are still like text files. We can write just plain text, right? But they have the special ability. So what is the special ability they have? They can become interactive. So if I copy this text file and I copy and paste it here, if I open this HTML file in my browser, so let me just drop the HTML file here. So you can see that I can still see the text. Now it's unformatted because HTML also requires some rules in order to format the text, but let's not focus on that part right now. We will fix this. But as you can see, it's pretty much the same. All the characters that are found inside the HTML file, the text file with the HTML extension, will be displayed here. So let me make this a little bit simpler. A little bit less text. Okay. Remember, the idea was to open these text files in a special application, not a simple text editor, but a application that would be would contain a few extra features than a simple text editor, and we would be able to click something right here on the text, and that thing, that link, as we will see, that interactive part of the page would do something. It will react in some way, and then it will provide some extra features. So the idea was to take to be able to define a part of the text, and whenever we click this text, we would automatically, the browser, this special application, would automatically open up a link, download the file, and display this on the same page, or maybe on a different window right here. So let me find an address on the internet and a scientific paper. So paper, just to have a real example. I'm just going to open up a document that is found on the Harvard University, and this is the address. So this is the address to a computer that is found on the Harvard University, and it tries to search inside the computer, on this computer right there on the university, and download a file, a document that is in the PDF format. We can also load and search for PDF documents on the internet. And I will grab this address. and I will make it so that my text file here, my HTML file, is able to load this and display this document, load this address and display this document right here without me going to copying the address and then going back to that address. So initially we had this reference, right? So let me give you an idea of what we had to do. So initially we had this, there was a plain text file, and we had to go here. Okay, they mentioned they reference this paper, so we have to go here, find the reference. Don't worry about the formatting here. So we had to copy the link, go to this application, paste the link, and then load this document from that other link. And as you can guess, I would have to do this multiple times, like copy a link, go into another page, and open that paper. So the idea was to be able to click a button right here from this paper, from this text file, and then immediately load this link, this document on my page. So we said, okay, we have like a challenge here. We want, let's see here, let me put some other content, blah, 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 other content, blah, some other paragraph. So we wanted to make this part, like this text, clickable. We wanted these paper characters, this section, to be able to be clickable, to be able like to click this while on the application that we open this file, and then we would click it and we would immediately go to this address. So there are a couple of options that we can do this. People started like looking for a special syntax to do this inside these text documents. So the idea that they came up with is the HTML, the hypertext markup language. So what is this hypertext markup language do? So instead of having this reference where we put a note here, 1, 2, and put the notes here so people can copy these links, we would just remove this, and we would give some instructions to the program that was displaying this text document to do what we want, to follow a link, download, and display a document. So this is how the HTML syntax and the HTML language was born. So we said, okay, we're going to define the part of the text that is going to be interactive. We said, okay, in order to do this, we want to define a language so that the program that reads and displays this document will understand that there's something special going on in here. So this is the HTML syntax, and these are called HTML tags. So what these tags do is they give an instruction to the browser, to the program that is displaying the HTML language, the HTML documents, to act on this text that is between this opening and closing tag. So let's see what happens here when I have like, I save and I open this document on my computer. I'm going to save. I'm going to refresh. Okay, nothing happens because I'm missing an extra information. So let me use another HTML tag, and then we go back to the. So let's start with a simpler HTML tag. Let me put this side by side. So this is my source code, as we say, my HTML code, and this is what I see on the page. So if I refresh now, you will see something happening here. You will see that this paper, this text that is between these two opening and closing tags, is being displayed differently inside the browser. So this is like the essence, the very basic rule of HTML. Whenever we use this syntax, this opening tag, as we call it, the browser, the program that reads this text file, knows that we want to do something with the content that comes after this opening tag. So when we have a tag that is called strong, this gives the instruction to the browser to display the text that is after the strong tag in bold characters. Whenever we close this tag, then the text that is after the closing tag is once again being displayed normally. This just gives the instruction to the browser to paint, let's say, to display this text that is in between these opening and closing tags in a strong, bold, let's say, format. So if I go, let's say, right here in the some other paragraph, I can use the same syntax, save it, and as you can see, we have this text also being displayed in bold. So this is these are the very basics of the HTML language. So it's a language because we have some instructions contained in this text file, right? We don't have just characters of text that should be displayed on the browser. We also have some instructions. The instructions are in the form of these opening and closing tags. So this is a computer language, and this is how we define instructions in this computer language called HTML. We use these tags, an opening and a closing tag, most of the times, to define a part, an area of our text, like a part in our text document that should be displayed or behave in a specific way. In this way, this instruction is telling the browser to just paint or display this text into a bold format. Okay. Now let's go back to the link. So instead of in here of making this text just bold, and as you can see, if I click, nothing happens. I can just select the text, but there's nothing happening if I click. So there is no extra, let's say, functionality. Now, the idea was to make this clickable and be able to redirect to the page where this document is to be found. So instead of using the strong tag, they invented another tag, which is the anchor tag. This is called the anchor tag. Anchor, and the syntax is, of course, this content. Okay, we open with this. Most of the HTML tags have a short syntax. So we say this is an anchor tag, but we don't write anchor. We just write A so that we can quickly type. For example, there's another HTML element called the paragraph element. And this starts with a P tag. There's some content, and we close with a P tag, a closing P tag. As you can see, most of the HTML tags have a description name. We can talk about them and say the anchor tag, the paragraph tag. But when we want to use them inside the HTML document, we don't write the full sentence here. We just use a shorthand like a P or an A. The strong is one of these HTML elements that has a plain normal word. It's let's say one of the longest, let's say, HTML tags. But most of the times you'll find some short version. We try not to write too many words. Now, so let's try the paragraph tag to see what it does. So I will go here and wrap this whole section into a paragraph tag. Okay. So this is another instruction to the browser. So read this text, and when you go here, read this instruction. This is an instruction for the browser. The instructions should not be displayed right here. So we shouldn't see this instruction in our text, right? This A tag, this strong. The users don't have to see and shouldn't be seeing these instructions. These are just instructions to the computer, to the browser. So the browser sees this instruction and say, okay, for the rest of this text that is contained in this opening and closing P tag, I'm going to add a new line so that I will create a new paragraph. So see here how the text was without the paragraph, right? All the text is just in a single line, you might say. And then if I add a paragraph here, you will see that this instruction instructs the browser to create a new paragraph. So let's see the difference. So you will see that this text is now displayed in a new paragraph. There's a new line here, and there's an extra space for this paragraph. I can do the same with this section and put all this text inside this paragraph. You can see there's a title here. There's some text that is contained within an opening and closing p tag. And as you can see, I can also nest other HTML tags inside. So I can use HTML tags inside. Now, and I'm going to refresh, and boom, another paragraph. So you can see that this now was given the instruction. We just gave the instruction to the browser to create a new line and put this text in its own like special like space here on the page, so that we don't see this ugly formatting that we were seeing earlier. So this is the p tag, is one of the simplest and most useful HTML tags. And this is like some of the basic HTML elements. Let's also introduce another HTML tag. So for this one, this is a heading. Like this is a title that defines like the text here. So if I want to make this a little bit bigger and a little bit bolder, because this is the title of the paper, I can use a heading tag. So the heading tag or headings tag is H1, H2, up to H6. So we have 6 levels of headings: large heading, smaller heading, even smaller heading, and we just finish with the H6 tag. So we have 6 different levels of headings. So let's wrap this inside a H1. Okay, so you can see here HTML language is about instructions, what to do next after this opening tag, the content that should be displayed in a special way based on this instruction, and then closing the instruction. Okay, stop displaying the rest of the text in this way. So what is this is H1 heading do? Let's see here, a big heading. Okay, so I will just remove this and just have just the tag name in here, so that we don't see these strange like results in the browser, because if I write these tags, the browser will interpret these as commands. So that's why I'm seeing these strange here. So let's just convert them to plain text. So heading 1, let's do a heading 2. And let's go directly to H6. Okay, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 6. So we can see the heading 1 is rather big. The H2 is smaller, the H3 is even smaller, and we have H4, H5, and then the smallest heading is the H6. So we use this for titles, for subtitles, for like sections and subsections, so that our documents and our web pages have a clean structure, so people can see, okay, what's the main title for this document, where are these sections, what are these sections about, so we can have like another section. Let's say here, let's make it an H2 references, and you can create like a nice document with a clean structure, organized, and according to these instructions. So this is what HTML is all about. We have text and we have instructions in the form of these opening and closing tags, right? The browser, the program that understands HTML, that can read and parse HTML and interpret, let's say, HTML, can read the contents of this text HTML file, can make sense of the instructions, can make sense of the plain content, and then display the results according to the instructions. So this is an instruction for the heading 1, heading 2, paragraph, and so forth. This syntax, this programming, this computer language that uses this syntax, the HTML, calls this special syntax, this opening and closing tag, the markup language. Okay, these are marks, and we mark our text with these special marks, let's say, and that's why we see the ML part of the HTML language. That's why the ML is at the end of the HTML. This is the ML part in HTML, this markup language. Now, what's about the HT? What is the HT part? Now, the HT stands for hypertext. What is meant by hypertext? So hypertext is about what I've talked earlier, about how we can make a text have some special abilities. So instead of a text being just a plain text, some characters displayed on the screen, this text can have some special abilities. So if we want to make some part of the text clickable, and that let's say that clickable text can redirect us or open us to another file, redirect us to another file or open another file, it's called the hypertext. So if we take a text and we want to turn this text into a link, we can use this syntax. Let me put this on this line. We can use the anchor tag, so opening a tag and closing a tag. And we need to provide some more information for this tag, right? We know that this text will be clickable. We know that this text will be linking, redirecting to another document on the internet. So where should we put this information? So the inventors of the HTML language decided to put this extra information, this link, right? We want to put this link inside this anchor tag so that we know, the browser knows where to redirect when the user, when we click the button. They decided to put this extra information right here in the opening tag. So in here, we can add this information like this, okay? But we also need to be more specific. Like we don't want to just paste this in a new line. We don't want just to paste this information like this, copy and paste. We want to provide something like a description. Okay, what is this link about? And for the anchor tag, we need to provide an attribute, as it's called. And for the anchor tag, we have this href, short for hypertext reference. So this gives the instruction to the browser that when you find this opening tag, this a tag, the text that comes after this opening tag should be a link. It should be clickable, and it should be linking, redirecting to another like place on the internet, another file on the internet. So this is what happens when a let me just remove this address to see like I would just put some dummy here text just for now. What happens when I use this anchor tag? You will see that the text that's in between the opening and closing a tag becomes blue, right? It becomes underlined, okay? So a new color, a different color from the normal text, and underline. And also when I hover with my mouse over this link, over this text, there is this hand icon, this pointer icon. So normally we have this arrow icon, right? But when I hover over this link, you will see there's my icon, my cursor turns into a pointer icon, which means that it gives me the message that something is different in here. Like, and this icon means that I can click on something, right? So the anchor tag has these properties. It turns some text into a blue text. It turns this text into underline, and it changes the cursor pointer whenever we hover over this text. So this is the appearance of a link, of an anchor tag. Now, what happens if I click? So in order to go somewhere, to a place on the internet that exists, I'm going to replace blah with an actual internet address. So this is an address that connects to a computer on the Harvard University, and then it tries to find some file, some PDF file inside the hard drive of this computer. And let's see what happens if I save, if I refresh, reload my web page, and I click this link. So if I click here, I will talk about this different color. I will. Um, so if I click, you will see that immediately my browser loads this page. So this seems like very natural, very like I don't know, simple to all of us because we're using the browser and the internet every single day. But back in the days of the internet, this wasn't the thing. You had to just read the plain text file, go right here, copy this address, say copy, uh, copy, sorry, copy, then open up another application because browsers didn't exist at that time. Go into an application that will connect to that computer and just download the file. And then once the file is downloaded, we should open this file with another application, let's say a text viewer. So this means that you have to run a lot of, you have to go through a lot of steps just to open up a new link. But with the HTML, we had an application called the browser that would not only just display text, it would also format text in this really nice way, like bold letters, paragraphs, and we could also link directly through these anchor tags. So we could just go from one place to another, right? So I could also have another link anywhere in my page. So I can go here and say, you can visit the Harvard University website. And then if I wanted like to make this a link, to turn this into a link, let's see how the plain text is displayed. So you can visit the Harvard website. So let me make this, let me move this into another paragraph just to have a somewhat cleaner. So let's just plain text, a text, right? Here after the paragraph. Now, since there's a paragraph before this text, you will see that the text comes after the paragraph on a new line. I do not have to put this text into a paragraph because it's already on its own line. But let's make it a little bit more official and put this into a paragraph. The same result. Okay. Now let's turn this into a link. So the Harvard University website. First of all, I start the opening anchor tag, right? And then I close it. When you're beginning with HTML, you just start with a very simple step. Open an HTML tag and close it after the selected text or the specified text. If I refresh now, if I save and refresh, you will see that nothing happens here. Why is nothing happening here? Can you see any difference between this link, which is just plain text, and this one, which is like in this color? Is there a difference between these two anchor tags?
Yes, the href is missing.
Exact. So if the browser sees an anchor tag with no href, with no href attribute, it does nothing. There's no reason to display this as a link because there's no link here. Where should I go? Where should the user be redirected if they click here? There's no address given to me. So the browser says, okay, I'm going to skip, I'm going to ignore this anchor tag. There's probably a mistake here. So if I want to turn this into a link, I have to use the href and put a web address here, right? Now, if the browser sees an href, a hypertext reference with some address, it will turn this into a link. So this is where the browser starts to like changing, like reformatting the text and making it blue, underlined with this pointer cursor. So let's use a
Sorry,
valid address. Yeah,
can I
yeah,
ask something?
sure, sure.
Uh, After the href, we need an equal symbol
Yeah, yeah, mhm,
always.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This is like in programming and in HTML. This is something like an assignment. So we're assigning, or we connecting a value to this attribute.
Okay.
So we need the equal sign, and then we need to provide these quotation marks.
Mm-hmm.
So after the equal sign comes the quotation marks. This can be
Mm-hmm.
either double or single quote. So if I turn this into a single quote,
Mm-hmm.
so you will see that I have the same effect.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so double or single doesn't matter. So now instead of linking to the scientific paper, I will just link to the University of Harvard. So I'm going to grab just the address of the university, and I'm going to place it here. So let's see what happened here. What happens now? Okay, so I can go to this paper, and then I can go back. I can click back to go to the previous page in my browser very quickly, and then I can go also to the Harvard University. Okay. Um, this is a special website, so this is like the Harvard Mathematics Department, but doesn't matter. It's just a link. Um, I think the link to the Harvard is just harvard.edu. So let's change this to refresh. And now, yes, I'm in the like landing page of the Harvard University. So this is like this is the basic, the basics. These are the basics of HTML. We have some text. We combine this text with some instructions to the application that's going to read this text, the browser. The browser is the application that can read and understand HTML. The HTML language comes in the form of these opening and closing tags or marks, hence markup, right? We mark our text with these tags. That's why we call it markup language. And the HT, the hypertext, is because we can turn some text into this, let's say, hyper super text that can be that can redirect us to another page. So you might think of this as text with superpowers, hence the hyper word. So HTML is has these features. Like if you combine these links and the markup language, we have HTML. So this is how we can like read and write and display HTML pages. So let me add like a paragraph here for this one, and add and use some more like uh, so. Okay, this is in its own paragraph. So let's try to see a couple of other HTML tags. So in here, for example, I might want to let's say I don't know, turn this. So in here, I have like this HTML. So I will put it in a heading. So let me make this a little bit syntax HTML, and then hypertext, and then I want to put this in another line. Like I want these two things to be put in another line. So I can just add another paragraph. If I want to make this a little bit bolder, I can use the strong tag. This one, this one. and then I have like a much nicer syntax. So this is a basic HTML page. Like this is how the very early HTML pages would look like. This is how we would write HTML. But since the time, the HTML language has evolved, and we have like right now these days like huge websites with web pages that have many elements, and the language itself evolved. And these days, we don't just open up a text file, save it as HTML, and start using these HTML tags. We have a little bit of a structure. So um, let me open up another file. So let me to see how the HTML language has evolved, and we now use a different, like we can add, we use some extra elements. So let me save this file. Once again, I will save this as index.html, and I will tell you in a bit why I'm naming this file. So this is another text file. I name it index. The extension is .html. So I will open it. So new HTML, new tab in my browser, and then drop this index. Let me zoom in. Okay, now instead of just writing some text and adding headings and paragraphs and anchor tags and links and stuff like that, the HTML language these days requires some standards, some standard like tags. So before, like we had like we could just open an HTML and write our content that would be displayed here in the web page. But these days, we need to provide some extra structure whenever we want to create and use an HTML page. So the structure goes like this. First of all, we have to use the HTML tag as the opening and closing tag of our main page. So instead of just starting and writing content and putting some markups right in here, we have to enclose everything inside this opening and HTML tag and closing HTML tag. Why is that? Because eventually it turned out that we could use the markup language for other types of documents, not just HTML. So we came up with this tag to distinguish between HTML files and other files that used also this markup, let's say syntax. So whenever we want to create an HTML file, we have to always start with HTML and closing the HTML, and everything goes in between, like a heading, for example. So we are, welcome, Jim. Um, so we are opening up an HTML tag, we're closing it here, and then we have the content. So let's see this right here. Okay. Now, apart from the HTML tag, we have some extra elements that we need to add in order to come up with a very basic HTML document. So instead of like just putting the content inside this HTML tags, we divide our HTML content into two very basic parts. One is the head, and the other is the body. Okay. So we divide our HTML document into two parts, the head and the body. Now, the crucial distinction between these two parts of the HTML document is that everything that we need to be displayed to the user, so everything that the users will see here on the white, let's say, area for now, should be contained within the body, right? So any visible information, visible content goes in the body. If I put this here, and I will tell you a little bit about this indentation that I'm using, will be contained in the body. So let me see whether I can draw on this screen. Uh, Whiteboard. I'm, yeah, I'm not sure I can. Okay, just to make it clear, like if we want anything to be displayed on this web page, on this big white part of the web page,
Mm-hmm.
right? It must be contained within the body. So we
Oh,
must
okay.
put, put anything in here, right? So the footer that we say, sometimes the things that we see at the bottom, like I don't know, copyright, I don't know, blah blah blah. Everything should be inside this opening and closing body. We can divide the body into special sections like heading, section, subsection, and stuff like that. But anything should be contained within the opening and closing body.
So there are two central elements, the head and the body, right?
Exactly, exactly.
All right, all right.
So there's the HTML document, which is divided between these two very crucial like sections, the head and the body. So the body contains all the visible content, and the head contains some, let's say, extra information for the browser. If I refresh now, we will see this extra information, but we shouldn't be putting any text in the head area. The head area is just to give some instructions to the browser, some special instructions, some extra information or instructions that are called meta information or metadata, and they always come in the form of tags. So we don't just paste text inside the head. So this is a big no-no. We don't put this information in here. If we want this to be displayed, we have to move them to the body. Okay. As you can see, the browser still displays what's inside the head, but we shouldn't do this. Okay. There's no error, but our document and our HTML structure would be wrong. Will be wrong. Like it's not the correct syntax. So we should avoid putting any text inside the head. Inside the head, we use some special tags. One of them is the title tag. And just to make it a little bit, let me close some. Yeah, okay. So what goes inside the head? Let me put intro to HTML. So if I save and refresh, I want you to take a look at this tab. Okay, so you can see this tab says right now index.html, which is the name of the file I have just opened. But right now I saved the index.html, I added this title tag. And now if I refresh, just take a look at this tab. So the title tag will update the title that we see on these tabs. So you can see web napkin, HTML, intro to HTML. Let's open google.com to see what they display. Google, okay? So all this text that we see on our tabs whenever we open the browser can be found in this title. So inside the HTML tag, there's a head section, and inside the head, there's a title section that displays everything that we seen here. So if I want to change this, and I write Google, and I save and refresh, I can see Google. This is how Google does it, right? It just has a head element within the HTML element with a title element and the Google text. So this tag, like this title tag, is probably the only thing that we will find inside the head tags that is visible for the users. It's visible, of course, in this tab section, not in the body. It's not visible in here, right? This is just a text, a small text that we display here. Now, the rest of the head will be filled with other tags that give some special instructions to the browser. Now, I won't go into the rest of the tags that we can use inside the head because it's going to take a little bit of more time and it's a little bit more advanced. For now, you can just keep the title. So whenever you want to display something here, you can use the title. We can skip some of the other tags that we can use here. And let's go back to the body. So here in the body, let's add a link. And let's add a useful link this time. So let me go here. I'm going to create a new paragraph to learn more about HTML. Use the Solo Learn website. I'm adding a paragraph. So if you want to continue your journey into HTML and learn more about HTML, there's a very, very cool website called Solo Learn, which includes lessons about HTML. So let's go to see their courses. So they have courses on different languages. So there is this really nice course that it's free, and you can also use it through your mobile phone. So if you want to continue to learn more about the HTML language, you want to visit this Solo Learn site. So let me get this link. Let me go here, and let me turn this Solo Learn into an anchor tag. So once again, let me go one step back. So I'm opening and closing the tags. This is how we should always start when beginning with HTML. Just open and close the tag so we can see exactly where the tag opens and ends. And then start adding the attributes. So href equals the quotation marks and then the address that I copied from here. Saving, refreshing, and here's my link. So HTML. Now, if you are wondering about why do I see this purplish, like magenta color here, this is because the color reminds me that I have already visited this link. So if I have a link that I haven't visited through my browser, so if I have a link, let's say href, I will put whatever here, new link, or let's have a normal link, like a valid link. So let's go to courses. So I'm copying this link, and so if I refresh and I open up my browser, oh, I've already went there. So let me go, yeah. Blog, let's copy the link here. So let's copy a link that I haven't visited. I just visited that. So you can see I have two links in my page. One is this one here, this magenta, and the other one is this one. Okay, so you can see that both of them have an underline. Both of them are colored differently than the plain text, and both of them are displaying this pointer icon whenever I hover over them. But there's a difference in the color. This new link has a blue color, and this has this purplish magenta, let's say, color. This is a color that I will see on my browser, on my machine, whenever there's a link on this page that I have already visited. Because if I click the link and I go back to this page, the browser wants to tell me that, hey, you can click this link, but I will remind you that you already visited this link. So this is to remind us that, okay, there is a link or a web page that we visited sometime in the past. Maybe we don't want to revisit that website. Maybe we want to skip that. So this link is a link that I haven't visited before. That's why it's blue. I have never opened this link in my browser. So it's blue, right? So if I click, you will see I will go to this page. Okay, this is the first time I'm visiting this web page, this sololearn/blog address from my browser. So if I go back here, you will see that the link now has turned into a purple-like color, Why? Because the browser knows that at some point in the past, a few seconds before, I visited this link. So now it reminds me that, hey, these two links on this page, you have visited them before. So rethink to click the link. So this is how we or why we see this different color. If I change this address to something that even doesn't exist, like whatever, probably there's no whatever file on this website, but if I refresh now, the browser will switch back to the blue color. Why? Because I haven't opened this address in my browser before. So this is why I once again I have this blue color found in my links. So I will move on forward to upload this website on the internet so that you it is available for everyone to visit. So if you remember, like let's go back to this diagram. So if you remember, this is how the internet works, and this is how we share files. But what happens when we want to close our computer and have a document or a web page or an HTML file be available to anyone on the internet all the time? So if I have a document and I give access to this document to some people, maybe they can access my computer and they can download this file. But if I decide to go away or close my computer, the people on the internet won't be available, won't be able to access this file. So in order to make some of these HTML documents available all the time, we want them to be online 24/7, even when we close our computers. What we do is we are going to be renting, let's say, another computer on the internet. So we can go to a hosting company. So let me one service that I know and I use is Netlify. Provides hosting. Hosting means that there is a service that allows us to upload our HTML files, and people around the world can access these files whenever they want through that provider. So hosting is just a place on the internet, a computer where we can upload our files, and then these files will be available for everyone to access and browse and visit. So I have my computer here. Okay, and so my computer, and I have this HTML file that I just created, which is called index.html. So I have this HTML file. Let me give it a name and make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so I have this HTML file right here on my computer. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and people can access this on my computer. Someone can connect from one computer to my computer and get this file, right? So this computer from somewhere on the internet can access my computer through my IP address, and they can read this and load this page. But what happens if I decide to close my computer? If I turn off my computer, then this file won't be available, right? Unless I come back again, open up my computer, connect it to the internet, and make this file available. So in order to be able to provide access to the users out there on the internet all the time, what I want to do is I want to rent a computer that will be online all the time. So these computers, the computers that are connected to the internet, let me put this description. So connected to the internet. And little bit bigger. So a computer that's connected to the internet all the time, it's called a server. Just a fancy name for describing a computer that is always connected to the internet, and we can provide access to some files to anyone on the internet all the time. So whenever we have a computer that's connected to the internet all the time, and we can have some file that that computer will share with the rest of the world, we call that computer the server. So we use the servers. We most of the times we like rent or like pay for a server, but there are also some free services. For example, Netlify provides some free servers, some free computers for us. We can use a server to upload our HTML files so that they are available for anyone on the internet. So I can like copy my file on this computer. I can copy my HTML file to this computer, and then I can have a special address so that anyone can access this web page. So right now, for example, you cannot access my index.html file, right? This is on my computer. I have to send it to you over the internet, or I have to save it on a USB stick and come to your place and give this file to you. But instead, what I want to do is I want to upload, I want to move this file, to transfer this file to this other computer called the server. And so you are able like to connect directly to this computer. So instead of someone like connecting to my computer in order to get access to this file, so let's instead what they do is they can just connect to the server computer of Netlify so that they can always access this file. So they don't have to worry about me turning off my computer. Okay, so no longer connecting to my computer, but I will be uploading my file to this computer, and everyone will be able to access this file from this computer, from this server computer, and you will be able to do so. So let's see how we do it. So Netlify has this really nice, easy service. So let me find it on the internet. It's called drag and drop. No, this is not it. Let me find the, yeah, this is it. I will send you this link. So what Netlify provides is this easy service where you can just drag and drop your files. You can transfer it to a server, and then anyone on the internet can access these files through a temporary web address that Netlify provides. So in order to upload my files, the first thing I have to do is create a folder. So I will go here and I will create a folder. It can be anything. I will, let's say, call it website. And then I want to put this index.html file. I will copy it inside this folder. So I'm just creating a folder. You can name this folder whatever you want. I just named it website. I go inside, and there's my index.html file. There's a copy of it. So the only thing I have to do right now is take this website folder, go and drop it here. So I will drop it. I have to wait. I don't have to. I have not. Don't have to close the browser. I must not close the browser. And after a few seconds, I will hopefully see an OK sign or something that says, "Hey, everything is OK." Let's hope that this. Sometimes it takes a few seconds. Sometimes it's instant. Okay, I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Browser, don't refresh. I'm going to open this in another tab just to try again. So while this is running, I'm not sure why it's getting so slow. I'm going to open another. I'm going to retry. Just to double check. Let's see if this is a little bit faster this time. Okay, yeah. For some reason, this is okay. So let's switch to this. So with this service, Netlify enables me to drag and drop this folder with my file. And what it gives me is this temporary address. Okay, it's an internet address that I can link, and I can see my website. So this is the same content that I was working locally, but this time it is being served by a computer, a server computer found on the Netlify's let's say premises. If I send the link to you, you will be able to see and open up this website from your computer. So I'm pasting the link here in the um, Google Meet. So let me know if you can open up and see the website on your computer, on your browser. So what we did right now is we have gone through this process. So I took the index.html, I have put it in a folder, of course, just something that is required by this Netlify service. I have transferred this file to the computer, the server computer of Netlify, and now you can connect from your computer to this server through the address. Okay, so we have this. Let's see, um, the address is this. So through this address, through your computer, you are able like to connect to this server. This is the address for this computer, and then you are able to access the index.html. Now, one thing to note here is that it says here that this site will be live for 1 hour. So it's a free service, but it's only for 1 hour if I don't have an account. So this web address will be invalid after 1 hour. This is just for demo, let's say demonstration purposes. If I want to keep this website online forever for free, I can create a free account. So Netlify also provides the ability for me to create a free account. There's no charge for creating a new account. Then going to this Netlify drop service, dropping my content, and then having my website connected with a web address that's going to be available for free forever. So you can create your own, you can host your own HTML files for free through this Netlify service. You just need to open an account. If I log in and I use this drag and drop service again, so if I now log in and put my password and my email, and I refresh this page, I will be able to drag and drop the file here, and then my file will be hosted, and the address will be available forever. It won't have like a time limit this one.
But I guess that has a limited space for videos or for
It
pictures.
has, yeah, it has, but it's kind of like huge for normal websites. That there's a lot of space. So let's see the
And that's for free, I guess, huh?
yeah. So
Except
let's
the domain name that you have
exactly.
to buy it and refresh it every 2 years.
Hmm. So
Okay.
for the free like service, they provide like where is the website? You can have up to 500 sites for free, which is like huge. And I'm not sure about the storage, but you can check the 100 gigabytes bandwidth concurrent. I'm not even sure whether they have a limit. Like, let me see here. Yeah, but for most websites, for most small to medium sized website, I mean, it's really enough.
Uh,
Um, if you want to change, like when you upload the website, they will give you like a temporary kind of like random looking web address, like flourishing begonia, whatever, which is not, you might say, very nice. What you can do is once you have logged in and you have your website here, you can go into the settings and you can change this address, and you can change the name to something like mysite.netlify.app. So you will keep the .netlify.app suffix, but you can change this part, this flourishing begonia, blah blah blah, with some custom name. And as you mentioned, if you can also buy a domain, you can also go to some domain providers, and you can buy a domain for just a couple of dollars, and then you can go to Netlify and connect that domain. So whenever you want people to access this website, they will be connecting through the domain name that you just bought. So I can buy a domain htmllessons.com. I can upload my website on Netlify, and then I can go to the settings and say, hey, please connect my lessons, my htmllessons.com with this website. So I can give this web address, and I can share this web address with the world instead of this random looking URL. And also there are other options, like other services that provide hosting and also free hosting. It's just up to you to like search and find one that suits your needs. So we have Netlify for hosting our websites, our HTML pages for free. We have Solo Learn for diving deeper into HTML and also learning more about the language.